Fantastic. Good day, everybody. Welcome once again to yet another episode of the podcast. And today I have a phenomenal guest with me today, and I have Dr. Rufus Akinrinlola. And Dr. Rufus happens to be he's a specialist of different things. So I'm just going to read out his bio so you get to have a better understanding of who we have in the studio with us today. Dr. Rufus is a seasoned crop protection specialist and an associate research scientist at the microbial discovery group in Wisconsin, USA, where he spearheads innovation research based on sustainable crop protection and solutions. He has a deep rooted passion for agriculture and scientific advancement. Dr. Rufus has a PhD in crop protection and integrated pest management from the University of Tennessee. He has a master's degree in pathology from the University of Nebraska Lincoln and a bachelor's degree in microbiology from Adekunle Ajasin University in Nigeria. Beyond the lab, Dr. Rufus is a visionary founder and CEO of Wise Farmers, an international agricultural consulting and solutions startup operating both in the United States and Nigeria. His company bridges research driven insights with real world application to support farmers, agripreneurs, and organizations in building resilient and profitable agricultural system. Dr. Rufus is driven by a commitment to food security, climate smart agriculture, and sustainable development. He is a strong advocate for using science and innovation to transform agriculture across Africa and globally. His work and mentorship continues to inspire the next generation of agricultural leaders and practitioners who are passionate about creating an impact from the soil up. Dr. Rufus, welcome once again.
Yeah, thank you so much again, Osarugue. It's going to be here, and thank you for having me.
Fantastic, fantastic. It's just interesting to just see how your career paths are just sort of evolved, from plants now to crop protection. I think my very first question to you would be, why exactly did you sort of focus your doctorate work on integrated pest management and even crop protection? Because you could have chosen any other area.
Yeah, that's a very good question, and I'm happy to answer that question. Uh, the choice of career is one of the most important choices in life, and because it tells of what you're gonna do for the rest of your life most time.
Yeah.
And so I didn't even know what to do when I enter college in Nigeria when I was doing microbiology. But
Yeah.
towards the end of the program, that's when I discovered plant pathology, which is the study of plant disease.
Yeah.
Before then, I was a farmer. My parents they are farmers, and I work with my family on the farm. So I saw the problem, disease, growing up as a young boy. I saw those problems, but I never knew there was a way you can study them and you can know what actually caused them. So it was until my, I think, final year in university when I now discover that there is a study known as plant pathology where you can study plant disease and you can know how to control that disease, how you can manipulate the environment. So I was so wow. So this is something that I can actually do. So I made more research about it, and they say it's plant pathology, and then that's how I opted to further my postgraduate in plant pathology, and then I came to the US. So during my master's again, I now realized that plant pathology is just a single part, a section of the whole plant disease management or crop
Yeah.
problem management. There is a team known as Integrated Pest Management, which
Yeah.
covers all of the problem
The
that
entirety. Yeah.
farmers could face. And then I opted to I'm going to do my PhD in this area so that I can have more insight into the
Mm-hmm.
all the problem the farmer could face, and I could be able to provide a better solution. So that is how I discovered my path, and that's what inspired me to today become an IPM specialist and focus in crop protection.
Wow, that's really amazing. So it all started out from you just wanting to be a solution provider because
Yep.
you had seen some of the things that your parents had battled with and you wanted to be able to just, solve.
Yep.
Wow. It just takes my mind back to a quote that I think Mahatma Gandhi said, it's like, see the need, take the lead. You had seen the need and you then took the lead. And here you are, a couple of years
Yep.
later. Oh
Yep.
my God. So
You know,
anybody like, okay, go on.
yeah, here, what I when I came to the US, I see the differences between here and there is because the here people take knowledge and turn into solution, and that's
Mm,
why there's a lot of products and a lot of job being created. And so
mm,
we have it. If everybody already has one knowledge or the other that they can use to solve a system problem, and when they turn into action, it become a product, it become a company, it becomes solutions,
yeah.
and that is what we want to do.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I feel like for any person watching on this call right now, there's definitely a challenge or a problem that you're already identifying. And so it's just like, okay, what can I definitely do to then provide solutions to that? That's like a very good starting place.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that with us. And so for our audience listening, that they are not conversant with what, IPM is, Integrated Pest Management is, can you sort of explain what that is? And why that is an essential part of the African agriculture today. Why that is essential.
Yeah, thank you for that question. IPM is very important term in crop protection, and
Mm,
it means integrated pest management. And what that means is it combines different pest management approach or strategy to solve
mhm.
an existing problem. Now, IPM is different from the conventional method. The conventional method is that the farmer wait for the problem to happen and then goes and spray either fungicide or pesticide. And they believe that every problem all they need is pesticide. And
Yeah.
and there is a problem as a result of that. It creates problem of pesticide or toxic substance exposure. It causes
Mm,
superbugs to develop. Superbugs develop like resistant to those pesticide, and they continue to cause. When I was in the farm as a boy, my parent or my people that are working with them, they say like, "Oh, we used this pesticide last year. It's no more working again this year. That it's not good.
mm,
It's not good. It's not good." Now I was like, why are the then I didn't know. I was like, why are the people selling things that is not good? No, the problem that is not because it was not good, because people use them in a way that allow those bugs to become super bugs. Every
mm.
biology system can do something. We call it adaptation. If you
Yes.
pour acid in a place every year, every day, you get to a fact that you get to a extent that there are some microbes or my organism that will be able to survive that acid because they have
Yes.
developed resistance, and those have
Mm,
become so the conventional method of crop protection cause those kind of problem. It causes release of chemical into the environment, into the food chain system, into the water, and also cause the super bugs and super pests to develop. So
yeah.
that's why they develop integrated pest management, which is a pest management approach that will use different strategies appropriately to control pests without
Mm,
even without the need to rely on pesticide. Pesticide
wow.
is always the last option in the
Mm,
IPM strategy or IPM approach. So IPM combines different strategies to control uh, pest problem, and the goal is to reduce the release of chemical into the environment, food chain system, and also
Mm.
causing of pesticide resistant. Of course, it's still going to improve the crop yield. It's still going to improve the farmers' uh, uh, income, and even at points, it may even reduce the farmers' expenses because they won't need to like spend more on chemical or pesticide. So that is, in a simple explanation,
Yeah.
that is what IPM is.
Wow. So if I was sort of like recap what you just said in a nutshell, it's more like IPM is more of a holistic strategic approach towards much more. It is also it's preventive and curative in terms of pest management within the farm. So as much as there's a curative part, like oh the incident has already happened, but there's also a way that we can ensure it doesn't happen.
Exactly,
So there's
exactly.
a
Yeah,
curative.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's something that it start even from before you start planting. And, if I don't know if you're still gonna ask it. If we, for instance, if I have a farm, I don't wait till like July when the disease pressure before I start thinking about how to control the disease.
Mm,
Before I start planting, I
yeah.
say, okay, what are the potential disease that can affect this crop? And
Mm-hmm.
now I will say, okay, the seed I'm going to buy, is there any variety of that seed that is resistant to that disease or to that insect? So I will just go and buy that resistant variety so that when
Mm,
I plant it, I don't think about disease anymore. You know that this is a resistant variety, and that disease may happen, that insect may come, but it will not cause damage. You understand? So
yeah.
I won't waste my money buying pesticide or spraying pesticide. So that way you have started your control even before you plant. That is just one approach about it. So but if you don't understand IPM, people just go and outside and buy whatever seed they want. They don't know the variety or the genotype of that seed, and they don't know the type of disease or insect that can. So that is it. That's why we always encourage farmers to work with crop consultant, agricultural consultant to explain this to them. They don't need to spend. That's one of the reasons I created Wise Farmer. I call it Wise Farmer. A wise farmer is a farmer that plans and knows everything he needs to know before it goes to the farm. So that is just a little bit of explanation about that.
Wow, that's really good. But I think here we're typically accustomed to curative as against preventive. I'm not necessarily maybe people don't want to do that, but probably there's not a lot of awareness around the preventative method. But people are just like used to like when you're already seeing tomato blight on your tomato, you now know that
Yeah,
I have to then go and look for
yeah,
the fungicide or the herbicide to then do that with it.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Mm.
That's it. That's it. We used to that. People used to. And again, because of it's knowledge. Knowledge is power, right? You only know
Yes.
what you know. You don't know what you don't know. And that is
Yes.
it's not their fault because when there is no training, when there is no people to enlighten them about the available resources, and they won't know. They just do and that's why I like what we are doing here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's part of the reasons why we have these conversations to also sort of give people a bit of insight. And like I was just saying to you backstage, like there's so many things that has evolved even within the sector on a global scale, and that most people within Africa are not sort of aware of. And
That's
so
true.
that's why it's really good to have these conversations.
Mhm.
And so thank you for sharing that with us. So my very next question to you is what are some of like the misconceptions that farmers or agripreneur have about pest management, particularly chemical usage? Because you had said something at the beginning that sometimes the application of either pesticides and all those is like the last resort. There are other
Mhm.
ways that these things could be managed. So, what are some of like the misconceptions that you see that farmers have around pest management, particularly chemical usage?
Yeah, thank you for that question again. As I mentioned earlier, most farmers believe that, once they have a chemical or fungicide or insecticide or herbicide, their problem is solved. They believe that is all
Mm,
they need to overcome the crop protection issues they are having. And meanwhile, no, you may not even need pesticide. You may not even need chemical. You may not even need herbicide. There are other options that,
mm,
for instance, I was talking about the issue of using plant, using when you want to plant a crop and you need to
yeah,
plan ahead. For instance, let's say you want to grow like maybe corn, and that
yeah,
corn, what are the diseases that affect that corn? And if you know the disease that affect that corn, and also what is the feed that you want to grow that corn? What was the previously grown crop there? Now,
mm,
if you know that the previously grown crop in that field already has the disease that can affect that corn, you will know that if you bring that corn here, disease pressure is going to be high. The insect
yes,
pressure is going to be high. So
yeah,
in that environment, if you grow that corn there, you'll be sure that there are a lot of disease. But if it is a wise farmer, it looks at the history of that field and it makes sure that
mm,
maybe the crop that was grown there before is maybe soybean, and because of that, the disease that affects soybean is different from the disease that affects corn. So let
yeah,
me plant corn here. So I will not have a high disease pressure. So at the end of the day,
yeah,
I may not even need uh, pesticide because I already reduced the disease pressure in my
yeah,
farm. Or talking about herbicide, there are different ways to control herbs, weeds. Can you do mulching?
yeah,
There are mulching where you can use plastic mulch to
yeah,
control
cover,
your. But if you
yeah,
only think about herbicide as your. So this is what people do. They think about like herbicide or chemical or fungicide. They never know there are alternatives and that
mm,
can solve their problem and also reduce their expenses. You understand? So those are the misconceptions. Then another one is that many things are the natural products, like they are not effective. That's one of the complaints when we introduced organic products to
it's,
them.
yeah,
Yeah, like about pesticide, like biology control agent, the things like, oh, it's not effective because it's using microorganisms to control microorganisms and to control disease, or you are using one about control insect or nematode to control another insect. It's like it's not working. No, it's not that. It's just you just need a proper understanding of the mode of action, when to
yeah.
apply it and how to apply it. You understand? So there are lots of misconception. There are misconception about. I know we are focusing on chemical, of course,
No, you
fertilizer.
can definitely still talk
You know,
about it.
yeah, there's one of fertilizer as well. People just believe that if I want to use, even some growing up, we didn't even use fertilizer then, and they'll be complaining that things are not growing well. Because you have been using this land for like many years, and
Oh,
yes, you do not use fertilizer, and you expect it to grow well. It won't grow well, and because the plants have taken up all of the nutrient that is present
yes,
in that.
yes,
So, but if you understand that there are need just like you, when we eat balanced diet. Plants also needs balanced diet, and those balanced diet, they're no more there in the soil. The plant cannot grow well, cannot produce well. And every time you harvest from your feed, you are taking away nutrient from that soil. And so thinking that you just put plant in the soil to grow well and produce the yield that you desire, that's a misconception. So working with somebody who understands all of these things is what makes a farmer a profitable farmer.
Mm. Wow. Thank you for that. I think that from what you said, I think a very important salient point is people thinking that there's no need for maybe expert consultations. Because at
Yeah.
least from what you've said, uh, the repetitive usage of the land, there's no time for the land to like recuperate itself back so that it has enough nutrients
Yep.
to
Yep.
supply to the plant. That leads to like
Mhm.
low productivity. And so even in that state, additional manure or fertilizer might not even help the situation because the soil structure has been weak for
Mhm.
excessive usage. So that
Yeah.
means you then, in a way, you also sort of recommend a bit of land following or bush following kind of thing, or maybe crop rotation kind of thing that
Mhm.
helps like supply nutrient back to the soil, right?
Yeah. In a system where in a place where there's a big farm availability,
Okay.
following is a normal plan. But now land is no more available. People, it's no more available.
We have so many real estates on the land.
Exactly. Turn it to real estate, and we build the city. But even though it's not available, there are other options like you mentioned manure. I released
Yeah.
a course on my website last month about soil-friendly farming, and the
Wow.
goal of that course is to educate farmers how they can replenish their soil, how they can
Mm,
cultivate their soil naturally, use in a way that the nutrients continue to be retained despite being used.
mm,
You understand? So the point is that things we can do, that are things we can apply to our soil, like you mentioned manure. There is a compost. There are ways you can cultivate your feed, and your soil structure will not be damaged, and
oh,
the nutrients
oh,
will still be naturally available. You understand? So, but if you don't have that understanding, you just don't know it. You just do what you've been doing, and you be complaining that things are not going well. And the problem that people think that by putting more fertilizer, they can improve it. No, you put more fertilizer, it goes to an extent that even the fertilizer you are putting is just wasting away, because the structure of
mm,
that soil have completely changed. That's completely
yeah.
changed to what plants need. And
Mm,
it's like you are feeding, giving bird food to like an ant. So no, it's like you understand? It's like the diet has changed completely, and you
yeah.
are feeding it to your crop, and the crop will not do very well. So there are certain nutrients, there are certain soil structure, there are certain soil texture that will feed your crop effectively. And the more you continue to grow on that land, those structure changes, those
Mm,
textures changes, and those
mm,
components of the soil changes. And as it changes, it affect the growth and productivity of that crop. So
mm,
it takes somebody who understands soil ecology, soil biology, to say like, oh, this your soil is no more good for this crop. You need to do this, you
mm.
need to do this, you need to do this. So yeah, that is it.
Wow. So from what you've said, aside just uh, bush fallowing, there are other measures or ways to see that the soil is being replenished.
Yeah.
Or
Mhm.
probably, I think you're more a preventive person because you've talked about, oh, there's a way we can definitely farm to just ensure that the soil is not depleted to the point where the structure then changes, the
Mm-hmm.
fertility level then, is then altered. So I think you're more of a preventive person, like, or how do we see that we maximize, we don't get to the
Yeah,
point where, okay,
that is the
wow,
that is the pillar of integrated pest management, is to tackle the problem before it
even
become a bigger
arriving.
problem. You understand? It's like, no, every farmer would like to continue to farm their land for many years, right? And the only way
Yeah.
you can do that is to monitor that land to make sure that it continues to retain its fertility and soil health status. And the only way you can do that is to mitigate the level of problems that is occurring, to
Yeah.
control what is happening on that land. So you don't have to wait until the problem occurs. If you wait, for the problem to occur, to become big, it will be difficult to control it. It will be difficult to kill. You can't, even sometimes, in some cases, you can't even eliminate it anymore. So the
Wow.
wise farmer, we understand what is happening in his field and think about what he can do to mitigate the problem or to eradicate it. You understand? Don't wait till like the problem becomes obvious. You lost like 100,000, I mean, or millions of naira in your investment. You don't wait till that. No, you want to continue to address the issue
Mm.
as before even become a bigger problem.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's really insightful. Right. So I think one of the major things I've picked up from our conversation thus far is approaching farming from a, especially pest management, from a much more preventive measure as
Mhm.
against curative.
Yep.
That's good. Really, really good. So my very next question to you at this time is how do microbial, solution or biocontrol agents work in crop protection? And sort of what makes this a bit different from the regular traditional pesticide?
Yeah. The good question again. And microbial products, these are made from microorganisms. I study microbiology, and microorganisms, these are organisms that you cannot see with your eyes. They are
So I
present in the soil, they are present everywhere. And so we use them, we extract them. Some of them have like uh, the things they produce against the bad microbes. Okay. I don't know if you can still hear me, but I lost you. I think I lost you. Um, okay. So the microbial products are made from microbes, and these microbes, they can produce some product against the pathogens or the bad insect. So the good thing
yeah,
about it is that their action is specific. It's not broad spectrum. That means when you spray it on your farm, it does not kill the beneficial microbes or the beneficial insects. They are specific. They only attack the problem, the disease causing or the insect that you want to
already
attack.
mentioned. Yeah,
You understand?
yeah,
So in that way, you are not destroying the ecology, the biodiversities of the organism that that are present in your feed. You are not killing the
yeah,
bees, the
mm,
pollinators. You understand? It's specific. Then another thing is that they are less toxic. They are not toxic to
mm,
human being. They are
yeah,
biodegradable. You understand? Some of the chemicals that we apply, the conventional chemical that they use, some of them can stay like, I mean, tens of years in the feed. If you go to the feed like that have been applied with all those residue, with applied chemicals like 10 years ago, you go there and
yeah,
take a soil sample, analyze it, you're still gonna see the residue of those chemical in it. But for biological products, they are biodegradable. That means after a year or two, they are no more, even within a year, they are decomposed. They have become the normal part of the soil. So they don't
Yeah.
continue to be retained. There's some chemicals, they continue to be they present in that feed and they are toxic. So, but unlike this, the biological products, they are less toxic and they are biodegradable. They don't continue to persist in your feed. For instance, if you spray some chemical in your feed, if people come there within 48 hours or even 73 hours of spraying, they can still, even though it's not, you can't see anything physically. If you touch that plant, you can still contact that toxic chemical. You can still get them into your bloodstream. It can still cause problem. And
Wow.
that's one of the reasons why people eat uh, um, chemical in the food they eat. In the
Yeah.
vegetables, some vegetables, when they spray them with chemical, people buy those chemical and eat the vegetables, and they are eating the chemical. Even though obviously
Hmm.
they cannot see the chemical, but the chemical has accumulated within the biomass of that vegetable, and most of them are eat larvae. That means they are not destroyed by it. You know, of course, it can be
Mm,
to an extent, they can be damaged by it. There's some of them they are even destroy. They are not indestructible. They are eat larvae. There was a story I
wow.
read about before US started developing the IPM. IPM was developed in California. I think in 1970 something.
Mm,
I think 1972, if I could remember. And before that time, got to the extent that they started seeing chemical in breast milk because,
mm,
yeah, because the mother was feeding, that was feeding on, whatever produce that was given to them. And by the time they breastfeed their children, they were they were releasing pest chemical in those breast milk. Think about that.
ooh.
Because then they just, it was like revolution. I think it was the Green Revolution period. They were just using the chemical anyhow, spray it because they were so happy
Yeah.
because it control any insect, control any disease. They were so happy using it. I bet they never knew that it was accumulated in the food,
Yeah.
in the chain food
Yeah.
system. And people started eating chemical with food that they were eating. Maybe if you can read this book, there's a book known as Silent Spring by Rachel Carson. It talks about this
Okay.
story. And that's where the idea of decided believe that they need to start a system that will help to reduce pesticide or chemical use in the
Wow.
agricultural system. So biological system and biological and microbial products, they are different from conventional product. Number one, because they are, they are specifically, they are not like broad spectrum, they don't affect everything. And also they are biodegradable and they are also less toxic to the
Mm.
environment and to the human that use it.
Wow. That's really good. Really, really good. Ah, man. That's a lot. Oh. Just hearing that the scenario that you talked about, um, the mother breastfeeding her child and it was discovered that the breast milk had that in it. So that means accumulated thing within her system that was
Sunny,
causing this.
yep, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. People don't know what they don't know, right? People just get in and eat it, and you won't even think that that's digested, that's gone. But see, whatever you consume, I have a quote that say, whatever you consume is also consuming you. Because when you consume something, we believe that it goes away, but no, it goes into our body, it becomes part of our body. So that is it, and that's why how we change.
Mm.
For instance, if somebody need more maybe vitamin A, they say go and be eating vitamin A a fruit that contain vitamin A. If somebody
Yes.
need iron, they say go and eat more meat. So in other words, you are passing those meat into your body and it becoming, those things. So it is very important that we know what we eat. And And not just what we eat, but how we produce what we eat. It's very important because what we
Yeah.
eat does not just pass away, it stays. And that's why, today people start talking about in Nigeria, a lot of problem now. People are having some disease that they've never had before. People are having, issues,
Yeah.
things that never happened in Nigeria before. You know, it's like something that started
Yeah.
maturing because people have been exposing to all these things
True.
for many years now. Then
True. True.
it has come to a state that is now showing. And of course, at times they won't know the cause.
Wow. That's quite interesting. Wow. Hmm. Okay. We have a long way to go.
Yeah, it's true.
As a people, we have a long, long
Yeah,
way to go.
that's
I
true.
think
You
that,
see,
oh
yeah,
man,
yeah. It started the online
it
the
like
thought.
that illustration sort of touched me in a way that I'm just still reminiscing about it. Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
yeah. That's the same thing I
Can you hear
thought.
me, Dr. Rufus?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, that scenario just, sort of, I feel like it marked me, and I'm just thinking about it and what could have possibly now become happen to the baby that is like feeding on that. Like,
Yeah,
just the aftermath of just one
yeah,
thing playing out. And I
yeah,
think that from what you've said, I think there should be more
yeah.
um I feel like there should be more motion pushed
Sensitization,
or
right?
more drive
Mm-hmm.
towards no, Dr. Rufus isn't
You know, that's true. That's true. That's true. I don't know if you can hear your think okay. Internet you. I can hear you. I think your internet's froze. Maybe you can disconnect and reconnect. Okay. Okay. Network. Okay. Okay. Do you want me to disconnect? Oh no.
Okay, we're back. Dr. Rufus, can you hear me?
Ah, yes, I can hear you.
Doc, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me now? I can hear you. Can you hear me? Okay, network.
Okay. Dr. Rufus, can you hear me? I can hear you.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for your patience. I had a bit of network glitch. Well,
Yeah,
I
it
was
is.
just saying that just listening to the story you made mention of, it made me feel some type of way. And I think that probably we should I'm not certain now, but I think there should be more motion towards the biological and the microbial way so that it is less harmful to people because
Yeah,
uh, by consumption, so that's how people get heavy metals into their system. Because sometimes when people go for checks, they're like, oh, your system is filled with so much heavy metals. So that's
mhm,
how people get heavy metals just by consuming certain foods that
yeah,
are high in, oh my God. I don't- Wow. Wow. Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
It's a big issue, and that's why in the Western world, in the US here, it's not something that is taken for granted. There are government policy. For
Yeah.
instance, the Environmental Protection Agency (EPA), they make sure that before you can apply pesticide in the feed setting, you must be certified. That means you will do thorough training and you get a permit. If you don't have a permit, you can't be a commercial farmer's pesticide applicator. And so, and also there are incentive, there are subsidy that help to promote organic products or biological products or adoption. So there are government policies here to make sure that help people go towards the use of natural products than the conventional product. And they make sure that anybody that want to use the conventional product with the chemicals in their feed, they have to be trained. They have to have a license and permit before they can use that. That means they already know everything they need to know about its use so that they don't cause problem when they are trying to control pest disease. Yeah, I agree. We need to have policies. We need more sensitization, teaching people about it. That's one of the reasons I started my training, the use pesticide safe use that I started 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And the goal is to educate people and enlighten them about this problem because many people may be killing other people without knowing because they apply pesticide on their
Yeah.
produce, and the produce looks very fresh, looks good, and they take it to the market to sell. And people will buy it, happily buy it, and consume it, and they do that every year, and the problem builds up, and maybe after 10 years, and the person start developing some problem, they will never trace it to the tomato or the you understand? So it's very important that we train our farmers about these things and they understand these things. And government, unfortunately, I don't know of any government agency in Nigeria that is helping to educate people about this thing. But that's one of the reasons I started this online program and to help people to at least as many that are willing to join the training and so we've been doing it now. This is second, third year. Hopefully, good thing I got very good feedback from people that attend. They are so happy that to learn about it. So it's
Yeah.
a very, very important issue. It's a very, very important issue. Most of these chemicals, they are very, very like toxic. Because if it can kill microorganism, it can kill insect. Those things are animals, and
Mm.
you know, we too, we are animal. We have the same biological system. You know, so although the level may be different, because we're higher
Exactly.
animal, and
Exactly.
so
Exactly.
that's with time. It show with time, like after 10 years, after 5 years, depending on the how toxic this problem is. So we need training. We need to educate people. We need to
Those
promote
are like a really
natural
sad thing.
products. Yeah.
Um,
Oh, sorry about your network issue that you're having. Yeah, the network issue is a big one. Usually, that's a very very positive conversation we're having here. It's I think the network issue is really really sad. Oh.
hey guys, thank you so much for your patience. I think we're back. Dr. Rufus, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
Network.
So, uh, yeah, I think that there's a need for much more awareness around these things, and there's not. Because I used to just think about it. Because my sister's like she's into like all this health and stuff, and so sometimes she says, "Oh, someone is suffering from like heavy metals in their system and all that." So I tend to imagine what could really be the cause. How would someone have heavy metals in their system? But just hearing you talk about this today has then given me insight. Like, oh my God, like consuming of product that has residues of chemical and the build up over time, because your body does not have the ability to even digest out or degrade that out of your system, so it just sort of builds up. Anyway, that's like a health thing on another angle, and I think
Yeah,
that's the point where a bit of compliance will come in terms of like the usage and the application of these things here. I think that's where um,
mhm.
compliance was also sort of coming as well. So my very next question to you is, um, I want to say what are the challenges, but I think we'll still talk about it. Can you sort of give us like a case study of how you, in your own practice, whether by consulting and work, research, and things that you do, you have successfully applied microbial solutions or IPM strategy either in the US or in Nigeria? Can you give us like a real life case study?
Yeah. IPM is a very multifaceted approach to control plant disease, and one of the uh, other approach
Yeah.
includes monitoring. Monitoring. You talked about. You said we focus more of preventive. When we want to prevent something, monitoring, or we call it scouting, is one of the most important things. So during my PhD program, I worked with my professor then in Tennessee.
Yeah.
So there is a problem caused by soybean cyst nematode. This is a nematode. Nematode, these are tiny worms, worm-like organisms that live in the soil. So they can penetrate the roots of those crop and cause disease. And the problem is that they are living in the soil. You cannot
Mm.
see them. You understand? And so until they have damaged the roots of the plant and the plant start turning yellow, and that's when you know that something is wrong. You might have applied chemical and do everything well, but this disease causing nematode, they will continue to feed on the root and cause damage. So the problem is that now the level at which they can cause damage, it differs. So, for instance, if you take like a cup of soil from your field, and if you count the number of
Mm,
nematodes in that cup, if it's just like 100, for instance, maybe that will not cause any problem. You understand? But if you count a cup of
yeah.
soil from your field and you count the number of that nematode, it's like 2,000, then you know that, wow, you need to do something about it. So, and also there are also different types. There are
Yeah.
some that are very violent, like even their 100 can cause a lot of damage. So what we did, help work with many soybean farmers in Tennessee. We helped them to identify, number one, the populations of these nematode in their feed. So we went to their feed, collect a lot of soil samples, and we extract the nematode from the soil, about each cup, from 1 cup of soil, and we count them. And those that has like less than 100, we tell them, don't worry, you are fine. You can grow this variety of soybean. Go ahead with it. You will not have damage. And the ones that
Yeah.
have 1,000, like above 1,000 or 2,000 soybean cyst nematode in that cup of soil, we say like, no, you can't plant this variety. Go and plant this variety so that you will not lose any money. So we did it for like, okay, I could remember. I think we have about 200 sample from different feed that we analyzed, and we send them those recommendations and give them, provide it to them. And the program was funded by I think was the soybean board of Tennessee then. So the farmer, they didn't need to pay. They didn't need to pay for it. But we were able to give them this information, and they didn't need to apply any pesticide. They didn't need to use any chemical to show the, yeah, it was one of the, fulfilling thing I did during my PhD. And so that is a sample of how you can use IPM just by knowing what is there or what is not there. You can use that to make it your planting decision, and you don't even need to apply pesticide. And for instance, those that have like over 2,000 in their feed, for instance, if they have not done that analysis, they will have gone ahead and plant a soybean variety that can be vulnerable to that nematode. And now they won't know
Yeah.
immediately. Then may after 4 months, thereabout, they start seeing yellowish. So the evil has been done. The bad, the
Mm.
damage has been done. The yield has been gone. The investment has been gone, and
Damage.
the
Yeah.
loss has been done. Even though if they at that point it's too late to apply
Wow.
a chemical at that stage. So that's why IPM is the best approach to approach pest management.
Fantastic. So all along now, we've just been talking about like the beneficial part of using the IPM strategy. Are they, from your own experience, are there any challenges attached to that in terms of like implementing the biocontrol mechanism or any of the IPM strategies for smallholders, farmers? What are like some of the challenges that you have witnessed in terms of like when you consult with people, or what are some of the challenges that you also sort of I would say predict might occur in terms of just the usage?
Yeah, anything that is good takes time. Anything that works takes more diligence, and that is
True.
IPM. It's not like it's not like a lazy man approach. Uh, for chemical, you don't even need to think. You just go and
It's
buy
like
it.
it's fast. Okay, chemicals
Yes,
are fast. IPM is gradual.
yeah, IPM. You have to sit down, plan it. Sit down, plan even before you plan, right? Before you cultivate your land, you sit down, you make sure you itemize everything that need to itemize, what you need to consider. So it's not a easy. I mean, it's not. difficult, but it takes more deliberacy. That's what we say. It
Mm,
takes more, you have to be more intentional about it and sit
yeah.
down. This is what I want to plant, and what pest or what insect is known to, affect this. Maybe it's tomato, and then is there any varieties that can be used, or is there any like biological product that I can use? Is there any soil treatment product, a natural product I can use? So it requires more planning, more intentional, proactive approach. So, but that is not, many people don't like those kind of things because they don't want to think too much about things. And so people say it's difficult to apply. So of course, everything you've not done is always difficult from the beginning at the first try.
Correct.
But when you practice it, then you already know the system. It's not easy to apply. So when you are
Mm,
doing it for the first time, it may be difficult. It may not. You may be more intentional about it, and of course, it's also require monitoring. As I said, it's about monitoring. You are aware of what is happening. For instance, if you want to, of course, IPM does not completely rule out the use of chemical or pesticide. At times, even after you have put
mm,
all the IPM strategies, you may still need to apply chemical, but at that point, it's going to be greatly reduced. You understand? The chemical you're going to be used is going to be great. Maybe you're going to be from
yeah.
100%, maybe you're just using like 10% or 15% chemical because you're supposed to like control, let's say, 50 billion population of insect in your feed, but you only have like 10 million now. And that 10 million, you feel like, okay, I still
Mm,
need to control it. Think about the chemical you're going to use to control 50 billion compared to the one you're going to use to control like just 10 million. It's going to be very less, right? It's going to be low. So
yeah.
so it requires more strategic and planning and monitoring, and so it's
Okay.
more work, but ultimately it's going to benefit you. You're going to reduce the money that you spend, and so
Mm,
that's one of the things that people don't want to do. Many people just prefer buying chemicals and spray, and that's the easy. People like curative approach than
yeah.
preventive.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
wow. So from what you've also said in terms of like the challenges, it's more there's still a the level of adoption as it is not high or is just at minimal level. What would you say is the level of adoption currently?
Yes, adoption it's because it's seem very many people think it's not practicable because of their time, and so some people feel like it's difficult to apply. So the adoption is not as it's not as okay. Oh no.
I'm here with you. Can you see me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can't see you though.
Oh wow. Okay. Sorry.
Okay, I can see you now.
Okay.
So yeah, the adoption is growing, is improving, especially in the US here, where there is incentivized, what do we call it? The government incentivize, right? The government give farmers some credit. If you practice IPM, there are subsidies you're gonna receive. There are grants that are available for farmers who do only organics, who want to use IPM. So those kind of things encourage farmers to use it, to be more, thoughtful and intentional about using it. So yeah, people are using it and they're enjoying it and they are, helping to build a sustainable agriculture and a more healthy and friendly way of, agricultural production. Because we have to do it. If we don't do it, it's going to be a big problem for the consumers and also for the farmers
Mm.
themselves and for the environment. So it's very important that we adopt IPM.
Yeah, true. Mm. So now we're going to talk a bit about the African context, right? Um, from your as an expert, this is me asking your expert opinion on this. How what do you think that African startups or researchers, how do you think that they can sort of tap into the microbial and
Yeah.
biocontrol space? Are they is there like an easy access or entry point to these things? So let's talk about it in the African
Yeah.
context.
Good question. That's a good question. I think there is a big opportunity, and that's his point, for
Okay.
the microbial natural product. Number one, in Africa, we are endowed with natural products. We have a lot of natural plants,
Mm.
plant extracts you can use to
Yeah.
cure. They have natural biocide and they can control pests without causing harm to the environment. All of these crops
Yeah.
and plants, they are there. All we just need to do is, as a startup, just get them and test them, maybe one small demo research plot and see the effect. And once it works, you can start distributing it to local farmers. The thing is, in it's even more easier because there's no system already. No system has been developed. I don't think there's any regulation about how to develop this thing. So you can actually go and start using it and start distributing it for your farmer because there's no any regulatory body who's maybe limiting, because here in the US, before
Yeah.
you can use any product, there's a lot of money, a lot of regulation, a lot of obstacles you need to, overcome. But there is a free world, and of course you are as a scientist, you have to make sure that what you are testing is effective, number one, and also is safe. And of course, we know that most of these
Yeah.
plant products, they are safe for the environment. So we have it. And when talking about microbes, the same thing. You can easily go ahead and start a plot to start to test microbial products, and once you have a product that can show some promise, you know you can introduce it to your farmers. And so I think there is an opportunity because most of these products they are not readily available. That's one of the challenges. They're not readily available in Africa, and because I don't know, they're not readily available, and those are available. Maybe they are very expensive, super expensive, because they are
Yeah.
made from the overseas, and by the time they brought them in, they are expensive. But you have all of this product in Nigeria. Actually, I was trying to work with some of my manager in Nigeria if we can look at some products on our feed and see if they can control disease, and then we can be able to promote them for to our farmers. So these are the opportunities available, and really, yeah, any farmer, any startup, they can go into it and help our farmer. And some people have been using this thing. I was watching a video, I think about a snail farmer. I was talking about how she uses neem extract to disinfect
Yeah.
disinfect his feet. I was like, really? This is
Okay. Yeah.
interesting. Yeah. So it's all about packaging now. He discovered that thing is if it worked for his snail farm, she can package it and help other snail farmers. And that's how to develop products and for consumers.
Wow. Wow. So what from what you've said is that our availability and accessibility to the natural biome and the
Yeah.
natural resources that we
Hmm.
have is like
Yeah.
a leverage that we have to then create these things.
Yeah.
And it's also sort of really easy to like like create fast, iterate fast. This doesn't work. What do we do? There's no a lot of restrictions in terms
Yeah.
of like policies and all those
The
kinds of
system
things.
has not developed.
Wow.
So we have opportunities for people who can develop the system. Who can so once we have one, two, three, four,
Mm,
five companies that are doing that in Nigeria, then they can form a regulatory principle or policy how to go about it. But when
yeah.
something has not developed, there's nothing to say. There's nothing to regulate. Stand. So that's why I said
Mm.
that maybe with time, we're gonna be more regulation. Government's gonna be involved, and but for now, we have a like open ground. It's like an open shelf for as many that can try and test products and commercial products.
Wow, this is really good. I say every single episode that I do on this podcast, I feel like it's also like a learning experience for me. Like every single guest or expert that comes on, they say something and it's like a light bulb moment for me. I'm like, oh wow, so this can actually be done. Wow. It's like, so from what you're saying is we are in the midst of so much opportunity despite the adversity that we are,
I'm
currently
telling you,
challenged.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Most of
Really,
the
really.
raw materials that people use to produce product here, they are imported, right?
From
Majority of
Africa.
them are
Mm.
imported from either South America or from Asia or from Africa. And so they will just
Mm.
use it and repackage it for us and sell it expensive, But all we just need to do
Mm.
is to learn how to use the raw material to develop product for ourselves. And we have enough of it because we have it in abundance. Our environment, the tropical system, we have the tropical climate is favorable for microbes, biology, because we don't
Mm.
have like extreme cold, like we don't have winter,
Yeah.
so and we don't have extreme weather that they have here. So things go all year round, and so all those kind of things favorable for plants or microbes. So the microbes are flourishing there, the organisms are flourishing there, plants are flourishing there. So we can continue to have those access to all those resources to create products that want to that we could create for our use. Yeah, we are in the midst of opportunity,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, true. But now this leads me to my next question, which is personally I think that there's a bit of disconnect, and this is what I mean by that. Disconnect is around, research and even implementation. So what I mean is that gap. I have seen like a gap. Like, oh, maybe for instance, let's say your doctorate thesis was on a particular microbe and how to curb it and all those kinds of things. Typically, in most cases, d- the the findings that you've come up with doesn't even get to the farmer to then say, okay, these are like the new things that I have discovered in terms of, and then sort of, okay, implement it and maybe provide me feedback so that I can maybe
Yeah,
make some alterations to my
yeah,
discoveries or even add on to my discoveries. So my next
yeah,
question is, how do we sort of bridge that gap between the scientific research and what farmer apply on the field?
yeah.
Do you think there's a way to bridge that gap?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and that's very painful, really, because our farmers, and not just farmers, our professionals back home, they are just like education
Yeah.
should be education system in America is like a triangle, and that means we have research, and then we have the theoretical aspect, which is education, teaching. Then we have the professional. So, and they are
Yeah.
connected. You understand?
Yeah.
So when a
Mm.
professor made a discovery, so it goes through to it can goes to the education. So there the
Yeah.
education it goes to either a student, which are student in the school, or to a farmer or a professional. So when I say
Mm-hmm.
professional, I'm talking about a farmer or a doctor or
An
you understand?
agripreneur.
So they always pass the new knowledge to the public through what they call extension
Yeah.
program. Extension. So
Yeah.
back home, I never had anything called extension. But here there is extension.
We have. We do have.
I never heard about any extension until I got here. An
We
extension, they are supposed to transform the education, the knowledge that we discover in the
Yeah.
university to the public that need them. Here, there is an extension over everything, every aspect. There is extension for agriculture, there is extension for medical, there is extension for whatever university discover, they take it to the society of farmers or the society of doctors or the society of so to educate them, to explain to
Yeah.
them these are the new knowledge, these are the new products, these are the new solution. And
Yeah.
not just that, they have demonstration plots, so where they invite the farmers to come and see this is the new thing that we produce. They call it feed day. And you see professor giving lectures to farmers. You see a graduate student, a PhD student, or master student explaining his or her discovery to farmers. You know how it can benefit them. A lot of these things are funded by either government or by bodies, associations of farmers. Like for instance, they have soybean board. These are
Mm.
the stakeholders around soybean production. There are corn promotion board. There are cotton production board. So they fund those research and they collaborate with the professors so that professor can produce those new knowledge, new insight to them. So it's very important. And that's how we can do that. How we can do that in Nigeria, in Africa, number one, government should develop our extension system. They should put money into it, funding.
Yeah.
That is, they fund professors to do research in collaboration with farmers. That means when they do the research, it's
Yeah.
not just for publication, it's for educating the farmers.
You.
You
Yeah.
understand? Telling
Yeah.
them this is what is important, this is what is good for you. And saying, showing them how to, that's how what we do here. Show them where to get the resources, how they can get it. Not just tell them what to do, but show them how they can get it. That is number one. Then individual
Mm.
farmers should form organization or society where they can collaborate with the professors. They fund the professors, tell them these are the problems that we are facing. Can you please
Yeah.
help us to find a solution to it? And then the professors will use that grant and do that research, and whatever they found, they communicate it back to them. You understand? And in that way, they help them to improve their ways of doing things, and they also give them access to the knowledge, access to the resources. You understand? So I think the other aspect of it is for individual persons, investors, and entrepreneurs, like students that graduate. If you study microbiology, for
Yeah.
instance, and when you graduate, you don't have to go and start looking for a job. Just look and focus on one aspect of your microbiology. For instance, when I was during my microbiology program, I learned how to produce mushroom during my PhD, during my project, and I wanted to like form a business around that because before that I never knew that you can produce mushroom by yourself because we only used to go and pick
Yeah.
mushroom
Okay, that's
in the
the spawn.
forest.
The spawn.
So, but
Mm.
when I found about that, I said that we can start producing because I read about it and you see in overseas people don't pick mushroom from the forest. There are businesses that build around mushroom. They produce different kind of mushroom indoor. And it's a very simple process. So as a
Yeah.
young graduate, if you found any discovery, find a way to turn it to a company. You know, develop your proposal. Look for government or bank or family who can help you to develop that into a business or a product that can help people or that can solve the problem. That is the way America develop. Just that, there's more money from government into it. You understand? There are money to start business, there are money on loan and bank. So that is a way I think that can help to bridge this gap,
Yeah.
bringing solutions to the farmers. It's not, that's one thing that I just got angry. Most of this knowledge, they are inside the textbook, they are inside the library, and they never get to people who really need them. So it needs to change.
Wow, wow, that's a good one. Really, really good one. So, speaking of the government and even policymakers,
Yep.
in your own view, what do you think are like the role in your own view, what are like the role the policy or governments play in terms of like supporting to advance this sustainable pest management across the continent? What do you think would be a good role for them to play if they wanted to make IPM more sustainable within the continent, whether in Nigeria or Africa at large? What would you say to policymakers and to the government to further, do this?
Oh, I didn't get the first part of your question very well. Can you please rephrase it?
Okay. In you answering, talking about like bridging that gap. Yes, and you talking about bridging the gap. There was a part where you talked about the government, and I said, okay, now this next question is hinged towards what can be done from the part of the government to ensure that IPM is much more sustainable, either in the country or within the continent. From your own view, what do you think that policymakers or the government can do in terms of supporting to ensure that there's an advancement in terms of sustainability of IPM across the continent?
Yes, thank you. The first thing is the government should first know that there is a problem if they don't do anything. Because if they don't do anything about it, people will continue to, in their ignorant way, and using uh, chemical in a way that is not regulated and causing epidemic and disease epidemic and toxin
Yeah.
epidemic, environmental epidemic. They need to know that it's a fact. So the second thing is they need to do
Mm.
something about it, which is what they need to do is they need to empower young people who want to become a business owner, agri-tech, like people like you, people like us, who is training people to understand how to use
Yeah.
this thing. And they need to work with bank to give loan to people that are developing, people who have the expertise and education, who want to develop. I see a lot of young people on who is doing farming, who is going to farming. These are people who have degree, people who have BSc,
Yeah.
people who have, understand that. I have a friend who studied political science. Now he has become a farmer, and he learned it because once you're educated, you can learn anything. When you graduate from university, you should be able to
Yeah.
learn and read and apply anything with little, of course, little consultation. So government should work with bank so that the bank can make it easier for these people to have access to grants that can help them to
Yeah.
develop business or a company that can work with farmers, train them, and help them produce things in a better way. And of course, then government should make policies around the use of chemical. If there has been an existing policy, they should find a way to implement it so that people use things in a way that is safe for the people and the environment, and it's
Yeah.
beneficial to the country as a whole. So that is what I would say. Is about funding. It's about farmers that are also want to open to use the IPM or organic. Government should give them incentive. Government should give them grant to do it. Everything is about grant. Money. Everything goes in the direction of money. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
government should release money for people to be doing IPM, or people to be doing organic farming, everybody will move there. People move in the
Yeah.
direction of, you understand? It's just because they say find it easy to get money when they use pesticide. That's why they use it. But if they find it easy for their product to be sold, or they get money to do the farm or IPM and organic farming, they will do it. So the problem is credit. They don't have credit, don't have grants. And so, but these things with the government have it, and they can make it easier for people to use a safe approach. Like
Mm.
our platform, we want to develop people. I have online courses on these topics. Now, if government will provide
Yeah.
scholarship for as many that want to train, that want to be trained, it will be easier for them to have access to this knowledge and to be trained. That's what I would say
Yeah.
about this. Government have a lot role to play. A lot.
Mhm. Wow. Wow. Thank you for sharing that insight. So, for young people, young agricultural professionals or student listening, in your own opinion, what do you think are like the skills or knowledge that they should focus on in order to be innovative in pest management?
Yeah, for college students, what the most important phase of life, I think, is between transferring from high school to college. And because that's where you make some decision that's going to affect your future professional or career. So I would
Yeah.
say that if you are watching us and you are thinking about going to university to study and become, you don't know what is to become, I would say, if you study microbiology, if you study like entomology, and if you study like soil microbiology or soil biology, this thing can prepare you to become a good IPN specialist or crop protection specialist. And this subject, because they're going to expose you to the knowledge that the foundation, just like I was exposed to plant pathology during my microbiology course. I think I could still remember the topics. I think they were teaching us the disease of economical crop in Africa or in Nigeria. That's when I learned about those diseases, and I was so inspired. I was like, I'm going to go ahead. So taking all those courses can empower you. Of course, the next thing is if you already have an idea, or you're already taking those courses, or you are a graduate, it's about learning to communicate, learning to strategize your skills. One thing I learned when I graduated is like a lot of people graduate very well. They have good grades. They know they have the knowledge, but the problem is being able to package what they have and present it in a convincing manner, right?
Yeah.
That's the what they don't have. So learn communication
Yeah.
skills, learn and how we call it, learn internet use, the correct use of internet and digital
Yeah.
skills that can empower you to
Yeah.
present what you have, to farmers. You can use WhatsApp to communicate your idea to farmers. You can use,
Yeah.
Facebook, you can use Instagram. You don't even need office to start your business nowadays, because, all these digital platform give you opportunity to present the knowledge to people that will buy it. So,
Yeah.
you know, I will also say find opportunity to volunteer. If you
Yeah.
see a startup company, a cultural startup company, who is looking for maybe an intern or somebody, even if they are not looking, go and volunteer. Like, I want to volunteer, learn, I want to be part of what you are doing. By doing that,
Yeah.
you present yourself in a position to grow, in a position to be seen, and to grab the opportunity that are available. The opportunity are there. It's a matter of positioning. It's a matter of presenting yourself to it. And the more you present yourself, the more you'll be able to see what is available. And then that's when you can able really to be part of the system, or the system, the that career line. So that's what I would say. Of course, if you are
Mm,
looking for graduate school level, looking at what to study, you can study agronomy, you can study crop protection or plant pathology, you can study integrated pest management or sustainable system. You can also further entomology, the graduate program in entomology that will make you an APM specialist. The good thing about APM is also specialized. From my own area is on plant disease majorly, and but then you can also focus on insect like entomology, and where you focus on how to manage insect that affect any different type of crops. There are RPM for soil, so soil management,
mm,
to manage soil in a healthy way. So you
mm,
can focus on different area that you of your interest. So that's my advice. I don't know whether that is the
mm.
best advice, but that's what I would say.
Well, really good, really good. Fantastic advice. I like how you talked about the fact that much more than just acquiring the knowledge, which is good, the person needs to be able to communicate the value that they have. That's
Yep,
what sort of makes you stand out in the marketplace. And just talking about
exactly.
how, because we live in a digital era, people should be able to know how to leverage on what the digital economy provides for
Yep,
them to be able to position themselves to take advantage of opportunity. And I also like the part where you talked about volunteering, right? Because typically now, most times, people don't want to volunteer because they're like, I'm going to be spending my time there and I'm not going to get paid. But you're learning on the job. Like someone is taking a chance on you and then giving
yep,
you the opportunity to sort of showcase your skills, hone your skills, develop your skills. And so I think that that's like a very good admonition to like college students and undergrad students across Africa. So yeah, it's a good advice. So this will be our last question. So looking ahead, this is me asking you in terms of like projections, right? Just you looking ahead. What do you foresee is the future of like pest management in Africa? Uh, what does it look like to you when you envision it? What does it look like to you? And what sort of gives you hope about where we are headed compared to where we are now?
yeah. That's a very, very good question, and it's also a very tricky one to answer because it's very, very difficult to predict the future. And of course, you can, just by looking at the trend, you can be able
Exactly, you
to,
can extrapolate from what
yeah,
is,
you can
happening.
project. So I
Yeah,
believe our future is a good one, because when I look at people like you and people like other young people in Nigeria, in Africa, that are coming out with different startups to solve these problems. And now we have, there was a time I have an idea to start online market for farmers in Nigeria, where farmers can post their products and sell directly to people. I think about 4 years ago. I actually discussed it with a website designer in Nigeria. He told me what's going to cost. So, but I know I just think about it. I was
wow.
planning. Then now I saw that the online uh, marketplace for farmers. I just like, wow, somebody have developed
Yeah,
this system where you don't even need to, before you produce your thing now, you can actually put it there that you're looking for buyers can buy directly. And that is a very good thing, because if you have a buyer, you'll be encouraged to produce more. And when you produce more, you can continue to do it. And that is system, that is building legacy. So the point is
yeah,
that when I see a lot of young people and that are doing great things, and like we are doing in agriculture, I see that the future is bright. The future is bright. But it's not alone. Government could be deliberate and create an intentional program to support IPM, Integrated Pest Management in Nigeria, and organic production in Africa. Government should, because, I told you that there was a point in time in the US, they discovered that there is an epidemic where almost everybody was carrying chemical residue in their bloodstream. I mean, they were saying,
Wow.
so we don't need to, maybe it's already happening. We don't know. But we don't need to get to that extent before we start implementing policy and providing opportunity for people that will help to prevent that tragedy. Because when we leave people to use chemicals and without training them, and when we don't give opportunity for people who want to use alternative, and that means we leave our future for chance. We leave it to chance.
Yeah.
We don't want that to happen. So there are great people like you and like many other people who are doing great in order to help develop our agricultural system. Government should invite them to support them. Government should provide grants and policies that will encourage and inspire young people. Oh my God. It's annoying because now we see that a lot of people are being inspired by wrong things, like on the social media. And now, if you
Yeah.
go to look at the last jam that was was released, and a lot of failure. Why?
Yeah.
Because people are no more inspired into the right direction. People are now being
Yeah.
distracted from the right direction into nonsense, thing that does not contribute any moral and developmental, national development value. You know, saying
Yeah.
so instead of government allowing people to be carried away by the waves of uncontrolled societal norms. Government should see people that are deliberate and intentional in developing the country and support them and
Yeah.
create policies and opportunity for them to grow so that younger people can see them and be inspired to become like them, not become like not become like something else. So it's very important. The future is beautiful if you look at one side, and if only government cooperates and government support that side. Except I don't want to be negative, but the future is, as I said, the government, America had to like, wow, we need to step in, we need to develop an IPM program. And do you know today, every year, the money that the amount that US government invests in agricultural research for extension loan, I can't remember, I think it's above 72 million or billion dollars every year. Invest in agriculture
Wow.
just to do research and empower farmers. In every local government, they call it counties. They have what we call
Yeah.
extension agent. In every local government,
Wow.
there is an extension agent, and that extension agent, his role is to work with all the farmers to provide
Yeah.
knowledge to,
Mm-hmm.
for all the farmers in that local government. So they can call
Yeah.
him every day and ask him, this is what I found on my farm. What can I use? This is what I want to grow. What I want to grow this year. I want to grow a crop this year. I don't even know what to grow. Can you please guide me? And he will guide them free of charge because government has already paid him to do that. And he
Yeah.
has to write report every year, and so
Mm.
this is thing government, this is a system that government create that makes the developed countries work. And if those systems are not put in place, we may still talk like this forever. Government need to be
Mm.
intentional, and there are people like you who can do it. There are people who have been doing. They just need to be encouraged. They don't need to be guided. They don't need to be empowered. So this is what I will say. We can do it. We have the resources. We have the human power. We have the knowledge. But we need somebody. We need governments, organizations, and to support us and to support people that can do it, to build the system that can encourage people to do, so that the beauty of Africa can be shown to the world. Think about China today. Think about, they were like us.
Yeah.
Today they have been empowered. They are producing things. They are developing structures and systems. So the same thing can happen to Africa. The government can empower the youth, can empower the people that are doing well, create a system that can make the country more prosperous. So that I will say, the future is beautiful, and because there are some people who are doing great things, and government should support them.
Beautiful. I like the fact that you highlighted that there's still a need to get that support and that empowerment from the government to see that we are able to sort of spread this message to much more people. And even the people that have taken the initiative to start out things so that they're encouraged to even serve much more. Uh, I know I had said that that was my final question, but just hearing you talk about this has now prompted me to ask you like my final question, which is, for someone listening to this call on this call right now, or a person that's going to watch the replay later on, that let's say that they are a trained agriculturist, whether soil scientist, crop scientist, agronomist, agroeconomist, agricultural extension, which I told you that they are in Nigeria, it's just that they are not empowered, but they are here,
Yeah,
and they're sort of contemplating like, should I invest my time and my energy in this sector, or I should just go to another sector? Considering now tech is like booming, should I go to like fintech? Should I go to the
yeah.
banking sector? Sh- Would it be a good use of my time? Would it
Mm.
be a good use of my resources to want to invest in this sector? What would be your admonition to that kind of person listening to us, or that would listen to this, interaction today?
Yeah, thank you for that question. That's a very, very big one and very good one. You know, my my encouragement or word for those kind of people is, don't quit. Don't quit. Don't run away. I see profession as a call, as a calling. I
Mhm.
see education as a calling. It's a responsibility. So you have been
Yeah.
given a weapon, which is the knowledge or the skills that you have acquired. So what are you going to do with it? Don't throw it away. Don't go and join other people that are using their own skills or their own knowledge. Don't abandon your own knowledge. Now, it may be difficult, but start small. Everything grows. Everything grows. If you start small where you are, you will be surprised where you will be next year, in 5 years, in 10 years. There is
Yeah.
everything grow. There's what we call repetition. When you start doing what you are doing,
Yeah.
you build repetition, that this person knows how to do this. This person is doing this. And as you continue to push, then you are putting yourself out there. And before you know, you're going to attract opportunities.
Yeah.
You're going to attract knowledge. More knowledge,
Yeah.
more networks. You're going to attract funding and grants. People will trust you to invest in you. And before you become a name, or your company or your business become a name to reckon with. And not just about that, you begin to see the impact you have made, the life of
Yeah.
farmers or the public that you have changed because of the knowledge you are sharing, or the service. Yeah. For instance, now in Nigeria, we need people to do soil testing,
Yeah.
testing soil for farmers, and
Mhm.
making recommendation how to apply fertilizer rightly, or how to treat the soil acidity, or how to
Mhm.
recover their soil from soil salinity, or just
Yeah.
general recommendation. We need, but there are a lot of soil scientists there, and because they are not empowered, they kind of move away from it. But these are service that is very, very needed, urgently needed. And thank God there are people who are, I saw one guy on Facebook recently, he started doing that. He was showing that he shared a story that he did a soil testing for one palm oil plantation. Imagine the palm oil plantation was like producing, let's say, just producing, let's say, 10 kegs of palm oil before. But after that soil testing and after they follow his recommendation, the production increased like 80%. The production,
Wow.
because the guy told them that your soil has acid, it's acidic. Now, even though you apply fertilizer, it's not going to work in acidic soil. So you need to correct that acidity, and so that your crop continue, the nutrient will be available. So, but just by testing the soil and giving them those knowledge, they improve their crop production, they make more money, and then everybody's happy. So we need more people. So that's why we say, don't quit, you know, start small, put yourself out there, if you need to talk to somebody like us to help you out how to present yourself, feel free to connect with us and encourage to help you to present yourself in a way that people know that you are a professional. So, the world has become a global
Yeah.
world with the internet. You have no limitation except the one you give to yourself. Thank you. That's all we say.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that substance answer. And so, for anyone that wants to connect with you in terms of taking advantage of the services that you provide, in terms of the consulting and things like that, how can they reach you? Kindly just share your Instagram or Facebook or your website or a number to call so that they can definitely reach out to you for your service.
Yeah, thank you for that. Just you can just Google my name on Google. I tell you, you see my name popping out everywhere. And
Yeah,
I'm a
a lot of publications
I'm
everywhere.
telling you. So, but of course, I am Facebook. I have my business
Okay.
on my business in Nigeria, which is custodial agritech. You can follow my page on Facebook. The Wise Farmer, my website is Wise Farmer, which is the one I have in America here. I have online course on Wise Farmer. I used to have a lot of free courses, but I'm going to update it so that you can. There's a free course on IPM, actually, Integrated Pest Management. I need to update it so that anybody want to learn more about IPM can learn more about it there. And of course, I'm on Facebook as well, and Twitter. So feel free to connect with me, ask more questions. I do every quarter. I do presentations on different topics, webinar on different topics, and if you connect with me, you'll be able to have access to all those webinar opportunity. So yeah, feel free to connect with me and let me know if there's any way I can help.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Thank you so much. Um,
For Thank you so much, Dr. Rufus, for sharing with us today. It's been an insightful and enlightening session with you. Just having to hear a lot of the things that can be done. I think for me is having to think of the approach of preventive as against curative, which is what we're typically used to in Nigeria and Africa. And I think that, just hearing this today makes me believe that this message has to be much more spread across so that people know that okay, we can definitely combat it from a standpoint of preventing it from happening or just managing the situation so we don't get to the point where it's overly blown out or that we now have to like escalate things. So thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you for the great work that you're doing with, Wise Farmer. I like the fact that it's called Wise Farmer. Like you have to be knowledgeable and wise. So you minimize error, you minimize mistakes, so I commend the work that you're doing,
okay.
and just yeah, and also the work that you're doing with the integrated pest management thing as well. beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing that you're doing. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
And more importantly, I would say that you may not know this, but I think that you are also one of the, I would say, the beacon of hope that the young average agriculturist in Africa would look up to and then say, okay, if Dr. Rufus can do this, I definitely can do something with myself as well within the agricultural space. So thank you so much for shining your light. And thank you so much for just also being like a picture of possibility, for a person that is diligent and committed to their craft. So thank you.
Thank you again. So inspired by your words, your kind words. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. And thank you for what you are doing as well. You're going to be changing lives and making great impact. Uh, I really appreciate having me and come to talk about what I'm passionate about. And I will see, definitely the great impact that you're going to do. Thanks so much.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
All right.